This is a 71 Nova. Just got done, well, almost done swapping. It was a 383 or 388 small block Chevrolet with a turbo 350. And earlier this year, we put together this 6.0. It's out of a 04 3500 dually and had a 4L80. So what we did, we put a Summit Stage 2 turbo cam in it. We swapped the heads from the 317s to, I believe they're 706s, bumped the compression up a little bit, and that was kind of before we knew we were going turbo. Initially it was going to be an NA build, so you know how things change and snowball. So we put the intercooler up front. It's a 4-inch thick intercooler. I don't know what brand it is. I got it from one of my buddies. This is the exact same turbo that I've got on the brown Turbo Sierra we did. And it's a VS 475 with a 125 T4 housing. This one we used the Hooker log, which I don't think I'll ever use one of those again. Not really impressed with it. It kind of comes down and puts everything in the way. Just, I don't know, I'm not a big fan of it. Don't really like it, but I got the manifold, the intercooler, the injectors, and a couple other things from my buddy. So I put them to use where I could. And I haven't done a Nova before. Not as familiar with the Chevrolet car wiring as I am with Ford. I've worked on Ford cars a lot longer, and I've done a lot of the LS stuff and swaps, and then vehicles they actually come in. So this one's got the Trailblazer SS intake. They're the fast, I don't know, 90, 80, 90. It's a drilled out injector or whatever. There's no data out there, but I was able to find a tune file on the forums that the data was close enough and ran. So it cranks up and runs fine. We were having a problem with the drive-by-wire wasn't communicating, so I've got about 4 or 5 3-bolt drive-by-wire throttle bodies. So after checking over the wiring and everything, we started swapping the throttle bodies and the TAC module, and we finally got a pair that will communicate. So the pedal assembly is out of an 06 Escalade, and I have no idea what the throttle body and TAC module that is. They're laying around in the shop, and we just kept swapping them because the first throttle body we had on there, as soon as you'd hook it up, you'd hear the blade fluttering a lot, and it's no throttle response. As soon as you'd push the pedal and nothing would happen, it would go immediately into limp mode. So he plugged in another throttle body, and it would open the blade one time, and then it would limp mode immediately. Then you clear the codes, it opened one time, limp mode immediately. So we tried a different throttle body, and with the first TAC module, it would do the same thing. Then we swapped the TAC module, and then it would open and close like it should. So they ain't lying when they say everything's got to be out of the same year for that drive-by-wire crap. This is the first one I've done drive-by-wire with a stock ECU, so, and a swap. So that was kind of a learning experience. I cleaned this up, well, relatively speaking. I'm still got to tidy this up some, but initially I had the truck fuse block right here, and you put key power, constant power, and then it would output in the fuel pump. I had all that over here, but it was just too big and bulky and cumbersome, and I really didn't like it. So thinned it out, put just a little fuse block right here. So it's got keyed power comes in, and then these are fused. And I wired it such that, this one's one bank of injectors, this is another bank of injectors, coil packs, and so on. We just got it figured out where it would do the throttle. The it's ticking like crazy. I thought that once we got the throttle hooked up and whacked the throttle a couple times, it'd clear up and quiet down, because the engine has been sitting over here, without running or anything. We ran it on the engine stand and it was kind of noisy, but again, we didn't have throttle hooked up, so or anything else for that matter. We just he wanted to hear it run. So we kind of threw some exhaust together and ran it on the stand, and it was kind of noisy then. Hindsight, we should have put a set of lifters in it, but, what do you do? It's kind of, in my opinion, it's kind of a crapshoot on the lifters anymore, because, some of the cheaper ones fail, and, anyway, so I don't know what we're going to do. I want to run it some more just at idle and see if it kind of clears up. But, we'll see what happens. So, this side we used a header, whatever kind of header he bought, because it fit and cleared the steering box. Whereas I tried a G8 manifold, but it hit pretty hard on the box, and I was gonna have to cut it and weld it and notch it and all that. And he already had these headers, so I just went ahead and stuck that on there. Then the crossover, and then it comes out and around and into the turbo. And then I cut up an old header and used the tube to come out into my VS wastegate, and then dump it back in, so it's 4-inch down the firewall, 3-inch under the car toward the typical Jones 3-inch muffler with a turn down. It's actually pretty quiet and sounds pretty good. This is a radiator I had on my Mercury Zephyr years ago, and as you can see, it was already modified. I wanted a wide low height, because the intercooler I had on it, I had a high ram back then, and I wanted the intake tube to come out and come straight into the throttle body. So I used that radiator and had it as low as I could, and made it a cross flow. So it's got the plate welded in down here to divide it, and then surprisingly I welded that on there, and it seems to actually, I know it doesn't look great, but it seems to seal up and hold, so we're going to go with it. And I capped off this side. So, but actually, I thought it turned out pretty good. I still need to come up with, it's pretty solid with just the hoses holding it, but I'd like to come up with something to kind of mount it right there. I welded this up. Again, I'm getting better. I know they're not perfect and they're not far from it, but at least I was able to do this in a timely manner, and they stuck together, and it wasn't as problematic as it normally is for me. I got our relay right here to turn the fans on. Only thing I have left to wire in is the switch for the brakes, so it gets constant 12 volts until you touch the brakes, and then it goes away. So I have to wire that in, and I needed a 5-pin relay, but I couldn't find one. So it's got a 4L80 in it again out of the 3500. It's got a PTC converter that took forever to get, and we finally got it. I did the cut and made the cross member fit, and then our local drive shaft guy made a nice drive shaft for it, and it's a really solid looking piece. So hopefully be able to do a little driving on it some and just really see how it does. Hopefully the lifter will clear up and it'll all come together. But we put the transcooler right there. There really wasn't anywhere else to put it. I hated to put it there. I mean, it looks, it's not where I wanted to put it. But like I say, there really wasn't anywhere else to put it. There's really no room here with the hood latch and all. So, but anyway, it's coming together. I think it's got a 308 gear in it and a 25 or 26 inch tall tire. Well, 235/60, whatever that is. And he got the shifter in. And that's about it on this one. Oh, we did get the, this is one of those gauges. I used one of these on that 85 LTD I did with an LS1. Of course, they didn't have as many options available for these back then when I did that swap. They just had that auto gauge OBD2 scanner, reader, whatever it is. But we got the OBD2 in today, and then got it wired up, and it works quite well. I don't know where. I'm gonna let him pick where he wants to put it, but hopefully in the next couple days we'll be able to start driving it and getting some data logs on it and getting the tune dialed in. I think we're actually gonna take this to my buddy's dyno and try to get it dialed in. I really am curious to see what a lot of these combos I put together make, because everybody always asks me what kind of power they make, and I really have no idea. I just keep turning up the boost till they run good to me, or until I feel it the rest of the car's at its limit. So I just like building fun little street cars, and hopefully he'll enjoy this one.